Well, there's a lot of things that sets LifeVantage apart, whether it be our dedication to giving back, whether it be a focus on all 5,000 of you that really do set us apart. But from the very beginning, a hallmark of the company was our science. We were built upon a foundation of science and research, starting with Dr. McCord. And he was a great part and remains a great part of the legacy of LifeVantage. Well, because of that, I think we have another distinction in our company. We have literally hundreds, maybe thousands at this point, of doctors and medical professionals who have joined our company as distributors. And that sets us apart from almost any other company in this industry. And so for the first time in the history of LifeVantage, it's my pleasure to introduce to you the inaugural Doctors Panel. Please introduce them to the stage. We have a pretty eclectic group here. I'm really glad that Dr. Cooper wore something other than gray on stage. It's great. She's going to be our colorful spokesperson today. But it is my honor to welcome you all here. They have the distinction of not only being medical professionals and doctors, but also all of them are elite distributors. And we're going to talk a little bit about both of those things this afternoon over the next few minutes. But to begin with, I'd like them to introduce themselves, say who they are, where they're from, what kind of medical professional that they are, and how they first got introduced to Protandim. So,
I'm Dr. Norman Marvin, family physician. Family physician, Kansas City, Kansas, Overland Park, and that's it.
How did you get introduced?
How did I get introduced? An angel from heaven come down and showed me this. And she was an embodiment of Doris Lewis in North Kansas City. I was a cold call. Her husband kept telling her, don't call Dr. Marvin, you're just irritating. And she said the more she heard that, the more she knew she had to call me. So the rest is history.
Great story.
My name is Terry Cooper. I am a chiropractor, acupuncturist, clinical nutritionist from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And I was introduced to this product from, I would guess, a dynamic duo that would not leave me alone. And athletic trainer Cindy Foss and her good friend April Butcher, who actually helped me with my youngest daughter. And so that was, I don't know, a couple years ago, and I just kept telling them no, 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 and they wouldn't leave me alone.
That sounds cool when you do that. Do that again. Thanks, Terry.
There's an echo. I'm Dr. Gene Tynes. I'm from Great Falls, Montana. I'm actually an imposter. I'm not a real doctor. I'm a dentist. So I just wanted to make sure that's out there first. But yeah, I'm a dentist. I've always been intrigued about overall health and wellness. And we got introduced, I again think it's divine intervention through my wife, my lovely wife Kelly. Had a friend of a friend that talked to her and kept bugging her about talking to us about LifeVantage. I'd actually been studying the effects of oxidative stress on some dental conditions that never made sense to me as far as the way we were treating it. And so we heard about it that way. We talked to Cynthia Delaney, cold call essentially, and we never looked back. So thank you.
I'm Dr. Skip Campbell from Denver, Colorado. And I'm a doctor of network marketing. Before, I was a chiropractor and an acupuncturist, and I practiced not 40 minutes from here. My beautiful wife Jill and I were introduced to this when Tyler and Jason and Marcel and David Brown came to our house. Cold call, knocked on the door with a video in their hand, kind of. And we were the same way. I knew what oxidative stress was. I knew that it was a big deal. And when I looked at when my wife and I watched that video, I said, if that product can do what they just said it can do, it's the most important supplement in the world, and the rest is history.
I'm Mark Gordon. I'm a cardiologist from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And I've been interested in preventive health for a long time, and I've always researched products as they come about to find out if it's something that I'm interested in. And 99% of the time, they're not because they don't have any science behind it. But I, like Dr. Marvin, was a cold call. Maria Williams from Phoenix, Arizona, gave me a call, not even knowing I was a physician. And she called me and asked me to watch this video, and I didn't watch it. And she kept calling me week after week after week to try to get me to watch this video. And I finally watched the video, signed up on my own that night without any help from anybody at like 2 o'clock in the morning. And the next day I got a call, and it was only on that next day when Carrie and Maria and Carrie Dickey called me that they discovered that I was a cardiologist. So ever since then, I've been known as the flippin' cardiologist.
I'm Dr. Don D. Nettles from Phoenix, Arizona. And I'm a doctor of chiropractic. And first heard about Protandim from my business partner Vince and our sponsors Blue and Colt Elam. And it was something that, like my esteemed colleagues up here, oxidative stress was something I was familiar with. And antioxidants I knew was something that is limiting that. But I didn't know that we had the power to influence the enzymes within our cells. And when I saw that information, it was pretty much all in for me.
Well, great. Thank you, doctors. I'd like to start off with Terry as our female representative on the panel today. Now, Terry, you're from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and all of you as medical professionals have a great concern about your integrity, your reputation, your medical ethics, and are so concerned about what you tell patients. How are you, and then you come from a smaller community where not only do you have that as a doctor, but they know where you live. And so tell me, how did you overcome those initial reservations about products? What was it about Protandim that made a believer out of you?
Well, honestly, when it was first brought to me, and I kind of like Skip and Dundee, I thought if this can do what they say it can do, it's a no-brainer. Our patients should know about it. And because I do so much nutrition, it seemed very easy. I would just have it in my office. Never in a million years did I think I would be on a doctor panel speaking to 5,000 plus people about this. And that was only 2 years ago. So my reputation after being in that community for over 20 years was extremely important to me. And I wasn't about to put my name behind something that I didn't have a strong belief in. And so after I finally looked at the evidence and looked at the science, and at the time there were only, I think, 7 studies done, and I started to plug in. I think that's the value of what we have here is you have so many people that you can plug into and people that connect with you. Don D and I were talking about that backstage, how we just are so grateful for the friendships that we've made in this company, knowing that we all come from the same core belief values. And that was very important. And as I look at my reputation, I wanted to be sure that it was something very real. And what I can say to you is this is very, very real. And we have seen some remarkable things happen for our patients as well. And that in itself became proof over time. And I think that's what so many people have to see is, proof is in the pudding. I get that. And we've been able to have that. And I love that part of this product. I love that we have something that can change people's lives in so many ways.
Great. Thanks, Terry. Let's go next to Dr. Marvin. Dr. Marvin, you're not only a medical doctor, but you have some interesting background in terms of your training and education that also may have added to the way that you viewed Protandim from the beginning. Could you talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure. When I got out of high school, my parents couldn't afford to send me to college, so I wanted, ever since I was 5 years old, to be a doctor, old country doctor type. So I decided they would mortgage the farm, and I would take pharmacy school and pre-med simultaneously. If I didn't get into med school, I could pay off the loan being a pharmacist. Not degrading pharmacy, but is where I was going. And for 3 years, I was asked by the dean to teach a lab course on pharmacognosy. And what that is the recognition of the medicinal properties in herbs. And I had a little lab that had every known herb used in humans in it. I believe that thinking about that the marijuana was in plastic. But the rest of them were free herbs.
Let's slow down there, Dr. Marvin.
So anyhow, having 3 years experience teaching after taking the course, it was fascinating to me. And every one of the herbs that are in this product was in my little lab, had I only known or was able to do anything about it. So anyhow, that's always been akin to me. And the multi-level marketing never upset me. I saw the science, I saw the product, and I just said, hey, if you want to feel better, have more energy, sleep better, age less, get over it. Get it. That's the only way you can take it.
Wow, don't we wish every doctor out there saw it so simply as Dr. Marvin? In fact, that takes me to my next one. And Dr. Gordon, down there, why, in your opinion, do some doctors get it and some people don't?
You know, that's a really good question, and I asked myself that when I first got introduced to Protandim. It's like when you read the science, it's hard to do anything but believe that this is something that everybody should take, right? And so initially, when I would talk to some of my colleagues, they would look at me like I was out of my mind, and why could I possibly be interested in something like this? And most of the time, it was a matter of the fact that they would not take the time to even read the studies. And then if they did, they would usually say something along the lines of, nice basic science studies, come back and talk to me when you have double-blind, placebo-controlled human clinical studies. And we will probably have some small studies like that in the future, but not any of the big studies that they're used to. And it got me thinking, why is it that these people don't see it the way that I do? And last week I was on vacation, and I read a book. It's the only time that I get to read. It was called Proof of Heaven by a gentleman by the name of Eben Alexander. And he is a neurosurgeon, and he'd been an academic neurosurgeon at Harvard for 15 years. And the book is about a near-death experience that he had himself when he had bacterial meningitis. And he talked about when he was a practicing neurosurgeon, how he would see lots of patients that would have these, and they'd tell him about him afterwards, and he thought that, you know, it was just all a figment of their imagination, until he finally had one himself. And he would then go back and tell his colleagues, his neurosurgical colleagues, about this near-death experience that he had, and they all thought that he was crazy too. And it got me thinking that the reason why a lot of doctors don't pick up on this is because they don't see for themselves what this stuff can really do. But when they do see for themselves what it can really do, that's when they start to get excited.
We're actually going to go to Skip next, Dr. Campbell. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, I've known Skip for a long time. I used to live in Denver. He was my personal chiropractor. And while I knew that he was a great basketball player, he was a rabid Broncos fan, he's still at least one of those things, and had a great family. I didn't know he was such a science geek until we got together at LifeVantage. Skip, what was it about the science? What is it about the science that caught your attention as a doctor to begin with?
Well, I think it's the same for everybody. First of all, the published stuff that you can read on PubMed, the peer reviews, as a chiropractor, I don't know, I can't speak for everybody, but we got a lot of those. I mean, we got a lot of the nutritional supplement companies that thought falsely that if they could sign up the chiropractor, they were going to get rich. They were going straight to the top of that company. And so they would come through the front door. My wife ran it, the front door, and she was very effective at round filing all of those, mostly because the science was done by the company, and the video was done by the company. It was starred in by the company's corporate staff, and the whole thing was fake. And so when I saw this product that had real research behind it, done at universities that I recognized, and a second-party video done by that one company, the big company that we all know. Can I say it? That's what you were worried about, ABC? Eric Marchin's freaking out right now. A doctor's panel about science with me on it. It's scary.
Okay, right? Gene, we'll go to you next. No, it's okay.
ABC, that video. the light bulb went on in my head, and I said, just like Dr. Terry said earlier, that's something I can believe in. It's something I can put my name to, and not just be proud to represent that company, but to know that it's going to, work with my patients. And so that was really the key for me. It was something that I knew that I could integrate into my practice, and also go out and build a residual income.
Gene, you mentioned something pretty interesting. You mentioned that you are already studying about oxidative stress. You're a dentist, and some people might be a little surprised to think that oxidative stress is something that affects so many things, including our dental health and other things. But during the course of your study of oxidative stress, again, what was it about Protandim that caught your eye? And then the next step is, did you have any reservations about it being a network marketing company? And if so, how did you overcome that?
Well, again, it was the peer-reviewed stuff that said how it cured all these things, right? No, it was the peer-reviewed things that gave it some validity, that made me look in the first place. But I have an extremely open mind. I always have. I think in dentistry we have a unique opportunity to affect people's lives in a way beyond teeth. I think the average person in the general public thinks that we just look at teeth. If there's a hole in the tooth, we put a filling in there, but it's much more than that. There's things, the oral cavity is one of the places we can really get a true look at what's going on inside the body without making a cut. And there's things that we see going on inside the body by reading tongues, by reading things going on the oral mucosa and the soft tissues that will give us a great indication what's going on inside the body. So to me, when I found this, and the way I introduce it to my patients, it's another tool. I found another tool that may help us with things that I've not been able to help you with before. And that was really powerful for me, because there's so many things that aren't explained by the bacteriological model of dental disease, the things that don't fit into that pattern. And so that's what really intrigued me the most about this. And in the beginning, I was totally against network marketing. I thought it was for people that had one eye in the center of their forehead.
Due to oxidative stress.
Due to high levels of oxidative stress, yes. And I thought maybe I could cure the one eye in the middle of their forehead thing. So, but that was my thoughts about it. And just like I had to learn about the product itself, I had to do my due diligence about what network marketing is and what it takes to be a legitimate company and what it takes to associate yourself with that. Because the same thing, I have a reputation in a small town, and I'm not going to do anything to jeopardize that. But I also have an obligation to my patients to be at the cutting edge and to find things for them that can help them with their overall health. And we have time to talk to them. That's the other issue in dentistry. A lot of medicine, unfortunately, people have to go through there on a treadmill, and they have to see patients every 10 minutes, and it's not the doctor's fault. It's the way the system's set up. We have an opportunity sometimes in our hygiene visits to visit for 45 minutes to somebody that has open ears, and we see what's going on in their health. We see their health histories every year. They're on a new medication with a new disease, and so it's a perfect model for us, but it's going to take time to get the whole dental profession on board with that, but it's got to start somewhere.
Thank you. Just as a follow-up to that, do you find that it helps to have sharp tools in people's mouths as you were talking to them about this product?
Yeah.
So, okay, good.
They call that leverage. Yes.
Next to Dr. Nettles. Dondi, you've told me before, in fact, we discussed it earlier today, about how you found out about Protandim. What your normal reaction to products, kind of like Skips, but you had kind of a different take on it, or how you handled that in the past, and what brought you into the fold, so to speak, in LifeVantage and Protandim. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. As Skip said, as chiropractors, we get marketed by network marketing companies constantly. And it was something that I was always looking for, something that could help me be a better doctor. So I was not closed off to the opportunity. I just never saw anything that would allow me to do that. And when someone would come in with their brochures or their newspapers or their product samples or whatever, and they would share it with me and tell me, and usually, obviously, some kind of great testimonial. And I'd say, well, that's interesting. Let me see how the other people that matter to me, what they think of this product. And so I would go to PubMed. I used PubMed probably every week in my practice. And I would invite them actually behind my desk and type in the name of their product into PubMed and hit enter, and there was always 3 words that came up. No results found. And I would say, that's interesting, but it puts me in a very awkward situation. I'm sorry, but I can't go to my patients with a product that doesn't have scientific backing. And I said, in fact, let me put you in the situation it would put me in. If you were one of my patients and I sat down with you and I said, here, check out this brochure. Somebody gave this to me yesterday. You really need to get on this product. What would you think of me as your doctor if I had that approach? And I could see that they understood that. And I said, now when circumstances change for you and you have backing that's scientific published in your product, come back and I'll be happy to talk to you. But nothing ever gave me the opportunity until Protandim. Protandim changed all of that. And it was interesting timing because I was very open to network marketing. I didn't really know anything about it, except one pivotal thing happened in my office when I was with a patient. I was going over some x-rays. It's what we call a report of findings with a new patient. And I was going over the information with him, and he said, you know, I got something I really need to share with you. It's network marketing. And I said, no, I'm sorry, I don't believe in network marketing. And he said, that's interesting. Has anyone ever told you they didn't believe in chiropractic? And I said, yeah, actually I get that all the time. And he says, does their disbelief change yours? And I said, no. And he says, because you're an educated man, but your response was very ignorant, and that really surprised me. And he said, your disbelief in network marketing doesn't change mine at all. And I had no response. He had me dead to rights, and I thought, no one's ever talked to me in my practice like this. So I went to a meeting, and I didn't sign up because they didn't have any products. It was a technology company, but at least I was open to network marketing. And when I saw what we have with published science and the fact it was network marketing, and I could share with other people how to duplicate that, whereas I was in practice for 12 years, and I had 2 of my patients go through chiropractic college as an influence of mine. Cost them 8 years of their life and over $200,000 in student loans. There's not a lot of people saying, hey, sign me up for that deal. But in the 3 years I've been doing this full time, there's been thousands and thousands and thousands of people who followed my lead. So it's a much better way to impact society than I ever could in the walls of my practice.
That's great. Thank you.